Because we need to ask ourselves, what are the effects of secondhand inhalation from these K-pods that contain intermediate? Another day, another vape story. This video right here shows an uncle being totally dazed and unresponsive with his hand clutching a vape device while the SMRT staff is asking him, is he okay? Finally, they transported all the passengers in the bus to another bus. So kudos to that. But we have to ask ourselves one very important question. Number one, we know vaping is illegal in Singapore, okay? And we know this uncle being unresponsive like this, holding a vape device, most likely he is doing K-pods, right? K-pods contains intermediate, an anesthetic agent that should only be administered under clinical settings, okay? And we need to ask ourselves, what are the effects of secondhand inhalation of K-pods? Has anybody asked that? We all know that secondhand smoke from cigarettes are harmful to our bodies, right? More so than first-hand smoking. So now, we need to ask ourselves, what are the effects of secondhand inhalation of K-pods, also known as zombie vapes, also known as piao piao in Malaysia, also known as space pods in Hong Kong? As you know, these K-pods containing intermediate can cause people to be groggy, have started speech, staggered movement, some shaking uncontrollably, totally oblivious to their surroundings, shaking non-stop, and etc, etc, etc. More and more people are having access to said K-pods, sometimes you can see teens doing them in public settings, The teen seems to think that if they were to cover the whole K-pod with their palm like that, nobody will notice, So what do you think you're putting to your mouth like that? What do you think this could be? Were you just sucking on your own thumb? So seriously, some of these teens can be seen doing, vape/K-pods, even in enclosed settings, sometimes in public transport, buses, SMRT. So what happened to the people around them? What are the effects of secondhand inhalation from K-pods that contain intermediate? So inflation is pretty much a issue for our daily lives, right? I mean, everything is getting more and more expensive, food and so forth. We have F&B stores not doing so well in Singapore this year. A lot are closing down, and some malls even have stories reported, like the one in Kallang, that reported that some days there are even zero customers. So what do the smart Singaporeans do? So smart Singaporeans, you want greater cost savings, you go to JB, because you go to JB, you can do your grocery shopping for cheap, do your hair, do your nails, do your spa, and etc and etc. So much so that now, Johor Chief Minister have highlighted that inflation is a greater burden in JB compared to other parts of Malaysia. And the primary cause is because of the influx of Singaporean tourists crossing the causeway, especially on weekends. Who didn't see that coming, okay? So much so that the food prices in JB have now exceeded those in KL. Listen to this. A plate of nasi lemak with fried chicken costs 9 ringgit, which is $2.71 Singapore dollars in JB, compared to 7 ringgit in Kuala Lumpur, that is $2.11 Singapore dollars. So, wow. And apparently, JB property prices are also surging, with one developer selling 300 units in a single weekend. I wonder which one was that. And to make things more convenient for, Singapore tourists to cross over to JB, we have the Johor Bahru Singapore RTS, which is going to be fully operational by December 2026. And believe it or not, travel time between JB and Singapore using the RTS is only 5 minutes, approximately 5 minutes long. So I can see, at this rate we're going, because the prices in JB are really too enticing, but because of that, F&B and malls in Singapore are kind of suffering because of that, because of high rentals, and then consumer prices to us are increasing. So I don't know, man. The smarter choice right now would really be to shop in JB as much as possible. Oh no, not again. We had to worry about power banks catching on fire, and now even mobile phones while charging. This is your last story of the day. Follow us for more. So, a mobile phone reportedly burst into flames while charging, causing a fire in a 12th floor HDB flat at Block 194 Kim Kiat Avenue, Toa Payoh, Singapore on July 14, 2025 at around 11:50 am. Preliminary findings by SCDF, Singapore Civil Defence Force, indicate the fire was likely of electrical origin, originating in a bedroom where the phone was charging, and as confirmed by the occupant's mother, the phone emitted sparks and thick smoke. So we can roughly conclude, yes, the phone did catch on fire while charging. And everyone's biggest question right now is, which phone was it? What brand? What model? We've tried searching for it, but this information is still undisclosed at this point. If we ever know it, or if anybody knows, please tell us in the comments, okay? As you can see from the damage of the fire, A 6-year-old boy with asthma was hospitalized at KK Hospital for smoke inhalation, and a grandmother 70-year-old and her 2 grandchildren 15 and 16 escaped the flat, though the boy initially resisted due to being woken from sleep. I mean, okay. Sadly, the family's pet cat was unalive in the fire. As you can see, the flat's living room and bedroom were severely damaged, while the bedroom being the worst affected, with the corridor outside sustained heat and smoke damage. Now back to the phone. The phone itself was purchased less than 6 months ago, and accordingly, the sparks originated from the phone itself and not the power plug socket, okay? So take note of that. And during that time, no other electronic devices were connected. Who else is getting anxiety right now charging their mobile phones and power banks? I know I'm kind of getting anxiety doing them now.